at Duke Energy Center. So that's really good news. And so we are responding to that and trying to figure out what that setup looks like, the role of the National Guard, the Army Corps of Engineers. But the hospitals, the mayor and I have all been part of these conversations about the changes to the models and the reduced numbers of cases that we're seeing in Hamilton County. So this is really great news for Hamilton County, and so I just wanted to bring it to people's attention. So we are going to talk about small businesses today and assistance for small businesses, but before we get to that, I have a few other items. So we've talked about this before as well. As you've seen nationally, and this is playing out in other states, there is a disturbing trend about how the minority community is being disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. And so, as promised, and I talked to the health commissioner this morning, we are going to start gathering those numbers for Hamilton County. We don't have them right now, but he promised that we would have those numbers by next week so we can see those trends in Hamilton County. And we need to respond to what we think we know is happening, which is this disparity. And so we are starting to respond to that. We are starting to communicate more expansively, really. We have to understand that people get information through different news sources and different media outlets, and we need to respond to that. And so we have started to go on different radio stations. The other commissioners are doing some of that as well. And so I want to give a more crystal clear example of what the county can do in that space. So we are, because of our budget reductions, we are deploying a number of different strategies throughout the county system. One of those strategies is redeploying some of our employees for a different purpose. And so internally, up on this floor actually, the Director of Inclusion, Economic Inclusion, is Robert Bell, and he has been working on employment contracts, how the county responds in a space of economic opportunity for everybody in Hamilton County. At this moment in time, since some of that has slowed down, we are redeploying Robert Bell to work for the Public Health Department in order to bolster our efforts to reach out to the minority community in Hamilton County. The redeployment of Robert is an example of how we are shifting our people and resources to enhance our COVID-19 response. The county administrator and HR director are currently working with the 911 center, public health, and JFS, among others, to identify areas of increased need where employees from other departments can be redeployed. I want to elaborate for 1 second on this. This is one of the strategies that we've talked about in terms of our budget. Remember that our revenues are going to be reduced because we are going to see less coming in through sales tax and through fees and other revenue sources. So we heard from Jeff Aludo either last week or the week before about what our modeling is showing by way of those reductions. And so you're going to see some strategies play out starting today into next week as to how county departments are responding to what we know is going to be a reduced budget. So we've asked departments to come up with a 20% reduction. These are departments under the county commission and also led by other elected officials. And so that exercise has been going on for the last few weeks. We are starting to get, well, we've got that information in. The strategies look like things like redeployment, things like using restricted funds to fill in the gap, things like furloughs for county employees. And so we are going to see these strategies starting to play out. I'm going to talk more about that on Monday. I will have more information on Monday about exactly what's happening from department to department, but I do want to emphasize that we've seen this modeling. It's not pretty, and the strategies are really customized per department. So we don't have some overarching county strategy that says, do this. We've asked for information from the folks closest to their employees, and so we're going to start to employ some of those strategies come Monday. So more to come on that. On a lighter note, the Chamber is creating an inspirational light installation on the banks. Remember, we had that big Ferris wheel down at the banks. It is gone temporarily, and so during this time, the Chamber has asked if they can use that property for this light installation. It'll be a great addition to our city, and it's being conceived by Brave Berlin from Blink fame and Vincent Lighting, who designed the Roebling Bridge lighting for Blink. Thanks to the Chamber for this beautiful beacon of hope for our community as we support each other during the COVID-19 crisis. My understanding is that this is literally going to be a blue light that shines up into the sky and will serve as a beacon of light for our community. I want to commend the Chamber for this initiative and for doing this to give us something positive to respond to in our community. Now on to small business assistance. So Pat Longo is here. He's the president, CEO of HCDC Inc., and we'll discuss 3 relief programs for small businesses. I'm going to let you elaborate on those. He has an incubator client, Tommy G., to discuss how he is keeping his business going during this time and his experience with the loan application process. So Pat, I'm going to let you take it away.
Thank you, Commissioner Dreihaus. I'm Pat Longo, and I'm the President and CEO of HCDC Inc. We are a multifaceted economic development organization serving the county. We are the county's Office of Economic Development. We are one of the largest SBA, Small Business Administration 504 commercial real estate lenders in Ohio, and we operate a top 10 business incubator in the world called the HCDC Business Center located in Norwood. We are in interesting times. COVID-19 is affecting all things in our county, and our entrepreneurs, businesses, and communities have been negatively impacted as well. As an SBA lender for the past 37 years, HCDC is on the front line, working with the businesses of all sizes to access the CARES Act programs for our clients, for our community, for all the entrepreneurs and businesses here in the greater Cincinnati area. And all of these programs that we're going to talk about today have been created since March 27th, 2020. 3 such programs that we've spent significant time educating the community and the businesses on are the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, also known as EIDL, the Paycheck Protection Program, and the Debt Payment Program. And we'll talk about each one of these. The Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program serves companies of 500 employees or less. Companies can borrow up to $2 million in working capital. The rate for these loans is fixed. It's 3.75%, and you can borrow for up to 30 years. The payments in the first year are going to be deferred. There is collateral required for loans above $25,000, and personal guarantees are required above $200,000. They will take a look at both your tax records and your credit score. With the application, whether you are approved or denied, there is an access to an emergency $10,000 grant. So again, no matter whether you are approved or declined by the SBA, you will get a $10,000 grant. Just a reminder, this is a loan. If you're seeking more information on this program or you want to apply, please go to www.sba.gov/disaster. The second program is the Paycheck Protection Program. The CARES Act has allocated $350 billion, and we learned yesterday that over $150 billion of this dollar amount is already committed nationwide. This program is open till June 30th, 2020, and it is a first-come, first-served program. So we have spent a lot of time making sure all businesses and working with a number of partners, people like CincyTech, the Chamber, Ready, the Minority Business Accelerator, the African American Chamber, the Hispanic Chamber. We're making sure the word is getting out to all businesses. This program was set up to help small businesses keep workers employed amid the pandemic and economic downturn. This is a program much like the SBA 7A program, which is the SBA's largest program. Yet, it has a forgiveness feature. This program is open to most businesses with less than 500 employees, and it includes 501c3 charitable organizations. And starting today, independent contractors can participate in the program and apply for themselves. How do you apply? You talk to your local bank. We recommend that you talk to whoever you're working with on your checking account, your depository relationship, or your credit relationships. This loan is to support salaries and certain benefits, rent, utilities, and interest expenses. If the loan is used for these categories, there is a strong indication from the government that these loans will be up to 100% forgiven. This is the CARES Act program that is receiving the most attention, and rightfully so. There is a great chance that this is going to look like a grant for our small businesses in our community. The final of the three programs I want to talk about today is the SBA Debt Payment Program. As part of the CARES Act, any existing SBA 7A, SBA 504, or SBA microloan program participant that is in good standing as of March 30th, 2020, will receive 6 months of payments on their loan by the government. This includes principal, interest, and any fee payment on the loans during that time frame. The first of these payments for these loans will start in April. HCDC estimates in the greater Cincinnati marketplace that this equates to over $100 million in benefit to our local borrowers in these programs. So now I'm going to change and I'm going to talk about, besides these programs, I want to let you know that there are local businesses in Hamilton County that are using their talents and creativity to help grow their ventures to help the community. Plus, there are communities that are stepping up to help their local businesses. One such community is Columbia Township, and they are leveraging the Hamilton County Community Improvement Corporation to provide 10 grants of $4,000 apiece to local restaurants in the township that have carryout but do not have drive-through windows. Kudos to Administrator Melissa Taylor and the Columbia Township trustees for thinking outside of the box with this program. How about the partnership of InfoTrust, Polar 3D, and Centrifuge? They are combining forces to create masks for our local healthcare heroes. We've learned that Caliberty, a local blue ash company, who participated in HCDC's Office of Innovation and Creativity program, has teamed up with Kroger's to enhance ClickList to meet the needs of clients during the COVID pandemic. And a local division of GE Aerospace, their additive group, is working with local hospitals to 3D print needed masks while the travel industry is struggling due to the COVID-19 issues. And one that's near and dear to my heart is HCDC Business Center and University of Cincinnati Accelerator graduate, Queen City Certified, led by Nicole Armstrong. This organization helps employers build gender equitable organizations where people not only want to work, but can thrive using data-informed best practices, collaborative learning experiences, and ongoing support. The company responded to the COVID-19 crisis by bringing together thought leaders on a webinar last Friday to discuss diversity and inclusion realities and practical strategies to manage and thrive in the changing and often virtual workplace realities of COVID-19. So human resource leaders across Hamilton County's business and nonprofit community, including 8451, the Free Store Food Bank, Greater Cincinnati Foundation, Michelman, the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra, and the Cincinnati Zoo, shared their authentic experiences from the front lines, providing invaluable insight to each other and to the many businesses and individuals who turned in for the conversation. So, these are just a few of the companies and communities in Hamilton County that are doing great things during these very challenging times. And now, I'd like to introduce one of HCDC Business Center's clients, Tommy G. of Fourth Floor Creative, and the team leader behind the FC Cincinnati videos that have showcased our great city to the world, to talk about his experiences with the COVID-19 epidemic and the federal government's response. Folks, on the phone with us today is Tommy G.
All right, thank you, Pat. Appreciate you taking the time to invite me to participate today, and certainly appreciate Commissioner Dreihaus having me join this press briefing on this Friday morning during this unprecedented and challenging time for our community, the nation, and in fact, the entire world. It's been a strange time for me as an entrepreneur, especially right now, as we approach Thursday and April 16th, which will be the 5th year anniversary of Fourth Floor Creative, my company that I started now 5 years ago, that I am the president and founder for, that creates dynamic storytelling and video for sports teams and corporations here in the Queen City and around the country, the United States. We have lots of great clients and have had a fantastic run. We're coming off our most successful year, and now we face this challenge as COVID-19 has essentially closed our office for the time being. And for the last 4 weeks, we have all worked from home remotely, which for anybody who understands video production is a bit of a challenge. All of our files are on a giant server with about 80 terabytes in the office. That server can't really go home and service all of our employees. So our employees have checked in from time to time to make sure that they have the proper files and continue to push forward to service our great clients who have been very supportive during this time and been part of the process. So I'm fortunate to be part of the HCDC since the day we moved in July of 2015. And Pat has been a big cheerleader, a good friend, and a supporter of Fourth Floor Creative throughout our tenure inside of the incubator. I think often about our toughest moments and the days when I've had the biggest challenges as an entrepreneur, and the HCDC has always been there to pick me up and to pick our business up and provide support. When I had shingles, because I was so stressed out about a client, Pat Longo came, and even though he's never had chickenpox and therefore highly contagious, stood a good 10 to 15 feet away through my doorway to the office and came upstairs to check and make sure that I was okay. When we had to make a personnel change, which was without a question one of the hardest days as a business owner, Pat Longo was the first one to come up to the office and make sure that we were okay and that we were moving forward and that we understood that we had this incredible team to support us. And for the past 4 weeks, Pat Longo and his entire staff at the HCDC have been unbelievable. Teresa Sedlak and I have spoke countless times. I spent one weekend, I think, wearing her out with nervous emails asking about the CARES Act, asking about the programs that would be available and what Fourth Floor Creative would qualify for. And last weekend on Saturday morning when the application went live with PNC Bank, spent 6 frustrating hours filling out the application 6 times. And finally on attempt number 6, it successfully went through. And that's not a knock on PNC Bank. That's a reality of millions of entrepreneurs and business owners across the country looking for assistance during this challenging time. My business partner and I made the decision right away 4 weeks ago to keep our entire staff of 6 full-time employees on payroll with insurance. We pay 100% of health insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, life insurance for our employees. And we made the decision to use our own funds and our own equity in the business to keep everybody on payroll and to keep everybody insured and push together as a team. I feel as though I built Fourth Floor Creative based on relationships for the past 5 years. Those relationships are built with our partners, with FC Cincinnati locally, with Xavier University, with Northern Kentucky University, with our partners across the United States, at the University of Georgia, at the University of Akron, at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, St. Louis University, and the list goes on and on. The American Athletic Conference was client number 1 And we were able last week to provide an emergency video for them to strengthen that partnership. And because relationships is what our business is built on and why we've been successful, I felt that it was important to continue our relationships with our partners to provide assistance in this challenging time and to show the team that we believe in them. So there's no furloughs, there's no layoffs right now. You know, the uncertainty of this situation is the hardest part for me because we don't know when we'll be back in the office. I miss seeing my coworkers, and I've gone in to write checks and to check the mail and to get files for my own work that I need to take care of. And it's lonely when I'm there by myself and no one else is there. And I miss my team. And I look forward to the day when the situation is healthy enough for us all to be together in the office and to share laughs and, you know, be able to collaborate on projects together inside of the same room. Instead, I'm home every day now with an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. And I wish I could be there with everybody in person today. But my responsibility with my wife, who works in a nursing home, caring for the elderly, is to be home and to care for an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old right now, and also to care for a fourth floor creative. So that's where I'm at as we face this challenge. And I nervously await word, and every time I see an email pop up in my browser, I hope that it's from PNC with the application being approved, that the Paycheck Protection Program has been approved, and that the wire transfer will hit our account. And I'm anxious because I don't know what's going to happen. And I don't know if we're going to get that money. But I do know that I'll fight for my team, and I know that my team will fight for fourth floor creative, and that we're going to continue to push forward, and that we have the support of the HCDC, and that if I need anything, if I need advice, and if I'm uncertain on how to handle a situation, that I can call anybody over there, from Pat Longo through his entire staff, and every person who usually walks those halls fights for each other. And that's what I love about the HCDC and what it's provided for us since we moved in July of 2015. You know, Thursday, as I mentioned, will be our 5th year anniversary, and we're not going to celebrate like we imagined, you know, at the beginning of the year. It's also my 40th birthday, so I've officially formed the LLC on my birthday, and I'll turn 40 on Thursday, and I'll celebrate 5 years as a business owner and entrepreneur. And you know what? That's a great thing, and I'm really excited about it, but I'm a little nervous. It's not going to go maybe as we imagined. I thought that we would celebrate by all going to my favorite bar and, you know, phoning up, ordering cheeseburgers and having cold drinks and, you know, sharing stories of the last 5 years and good laughs. And maybe we'll have a Zoom meeting and do something along those lines. It won't be exactly like I had imagined it would be, but it's still going to be special because we've had ups and downs, we've had great success, and we've had challenging days. And I'm wildly appreciative of everybody who has supported us here in Hamilton County and across the globe and the country throughout the last 5 years. And I appreciate the county commissioner having me here today to chat with all of you, as well as Pat Longo. So I wish everybody continued health and success as we push forward. And hopefully I'll hear good things about the Paycheck Protection Program here in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy G. Happy birthday. Maybe
you.
we'll all go out for drinks together in a few months when this is all over. Thank you so much for sharing your story, though, and your experience. I think it's really important for not only small business owners in this community to understand what the challenges are, but the broader community to understand that we're, again, all in this together, all trying to do our part. There are challenges, particularly as it relates to systems that are now overloaded with people seeking business support, people seeking unemployment support. And so we all need to hang in there and be as patient as possible. So thanks so much for sharing your story. I really appreciate it. Bridget, I think we're ready to go to questions.
Thanks, Commissioner. Up first, we have Marielle Carbone from WCPO with a question for you, Commissioner.
Okay.
Yes, good morning, Commissioner. I kind of wanted to hit on one of the first things you had mentioned about how well the county's doing as far as response and keeping the numbers down. We're about 4 weeks in now from when we started seeing everything come down as far as social distancing, and then from there things starting to close. But over the last 4 weeks, I mean, is there anything that you think that the county should have done differently or would have done different now, kind of looking back at where we're at?
Well, I think actually that we were pretty aggressive, particularly when it relates to social distancing, and I think that probably was the game changer. I think we're seeing that play out at the state level, and we're seeing it play out in Hamilton County as well. And so while our numbers are going up, they are going up less than what the models had predicted a couple of weeks ago. which is why we're able to reduce the capacity we need at Duke Energy Center. So I think it's really good news. And comparatively, we're doing really well in Hamilton County. And so I'm really pleased at the response, community-wide response. I think for the most part, we're taking this very seriously. If there were things we could have done better, I think maybe making sure our messaging was clear about the safe distancing in particular, washing your hands, don't touch your face, all these messages. But I do think there's been a concerted effort, particularly from public health, when it comes to what people needed to do in this community to flatten the curve.
Awesome. Thank you.
Question is from Scott Waterman with the Cincinnati Enquirer for you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning, Denise. Wanted to see, yesterday the health department did release that they did have 40 cases of COVID-19 in nursing facilities. I wanted to see if there was an updated number on that and if you had any number for assisted living facilities.
I do not have updated numbers for that. I can get them for our briefing on Monday, if that's helpful, but I don't have any numbers since what you just stated.
Is there anything more you can where these outbreaks are?
I cannot, and I know we've talked about this before. There is some sensitivity around the information and protecting the privacy of the individuals, as you know. I do want to say, though, related to nursing homes in particular, the health commissioner has assured me and assured the community that when a case is identified in a nursing home, every patient or every resident, I guess, in that nursing home is notified, their families are notified, the staff is obviously aware, and so the folks that are interacting with one another in that facility know what's going on in that facility, and remember that no one else is allowed in that facility. And so I've talked to the health commissioner about this, and he assures me that there is a lot of communication amongst staff and amongst the families of the residents that are in the nursing homes.
Okay, that seems to conclude our questions from reporters today.
Well, it's Friday. I guess is it nice out? I haven't looked out the window lately. So thank you all for participating in the briefing. We're going into, or we're already in, for some folks, the middle of a weekend where we are recognizing and celebrating some really important holidays, those being Easter, Passover, and Ramadan. And so want to say to the folks that would otherwise be gathering in large groups, family groups, thank you for not doing that. We cannot afford to backslide right now. We are making progress. The numbers are going up, but not at the rate we thought they would. So we are going to have less of a negative impact on our medical capacity here in this community. We cannot afford to backslide right now. So fight the temptation to get together in big family groups. I know folks have talked about Zoom meetings or about over the phone. We need to continue to do what we're doing, or we are going to backslide, and we are going to see those numbers go up exponentially, and we just can't. We're doing such a good job, particularly here in Hamilton County. We just can't afford to change our behavior right now. With that, I would like to remind people that we got a memo from Hamilton County Parks. As you know, the parks are still open. There is a lot of open space at these parks. They are free. You do not need to have a decal in your car to go into the great parks. So it's a great time to think about going to a park that maybe you have never been to before or haven't visited in a while. I went out to Mount Airy a couple of nights ago. It was just beautiful. So I encourage you to do that. Get out when you can. I know that the parks are free and open to everyone throughout the community. And then lastly, I just want to push out a big thank you to all of you in the community are doing what you need to do to flatten the curve. I want to thank our medical professionals who are on the line every day, working for all of us to make sure that we are as safe as possible. the medical systems who are working together, the health collaborative, our first responders, our firefighters and our police officers, sheriff patrol all over the county, our frontline workers, all the employees, county employees and otherwise, who are providing essential services to keep this community going. Thank you, thank you, thank you for everything you're doing. It's making a difference, and we should be really proud of our efforts here in Hamilton County. So have a good weekend, and we'll be back on Monday.
I'm good. More. Curl the bucket. There you go.